Welcome to Company Fabric number 2. I'm going to make a video on TikTok. It's going to be 3 of them, but I'm going to keep going here on YouTube as I start the video on TikTok. I initially started this, but I misspoke about certain things, so I deleted the video to make sure that I have everything clear. So now we're going to start the TikTok, and I'm going to try not to be emotionally charged as I was when I began the video on TikTok. So we're going to start TikTok. I'm going to give them the same message I just gave you. So just live with the repeat. Okay. So I had to remake this video because my feelings got involved. So I misspoke and I don't know how to edit on TikTok. So I just decided to remake the whole goddamn video. Again, I'm also doing this on YouTube. It will be non-stop on YouTube. No, I'm not live, but I'm recording it. So whatever you miss here, you can go to YouTube. This will be a 3-parter for you on TikTok, but a 1-parter on YouTube. Hopefully that makes some sense. Alright, as we speak, there is a live going on with some ethnocentrics or pretendians or whatever you want to call them. So let me make this statement above all else. If you were born in America and you are of African American descent, there is a high probability that, like me, you have Native ancestry as well as white ancestry with your black ancestry, where the Pretendians or ethnocentrics are trying to wipe out all of the history between black people and Native Americans. So they're trying to wipe out all of the slave trade, and they're trying to say that the Native Americans aren't the actual Native Americans, that all Native Americans lived in teepees while they lived in houses. But it's not adding up because of the simple fact that, okay, we know the history of slavery. Yes, Native Americans were also slavers and slaves themselves. However, there were some black people who supposedly, I can't confirm that, that's why I said supposedly, were also slavers as well as slaves themselves. The slave trade is an atrocity and an abomination that fucking happened. But the ethnocentrics are trying to erase all of that shit. Period. I am a person of mixed Native, black, and white descent. I do not deny my heritage. Granted, I can never really use my white heritage to get anywhere. You can look at my skin tone. I'm never going to be a white man. And to anybody white who I have offended, I do apologize for what I said. I don't apologize for how I said it, because I think I said it politely. I could be wrong. For you people on TikTok, this is for educational purposes, so please let the videos play. If not, it'll be on YouTube. Anyway, so they're going around on this live right now talking about how Native Americans all lived in teepees. Not all Native Americans lived in teepees. Not all Native Americans wandered across the United States. We talk about the 5 civilized tribes. Alright, we're not going into naming them. I don't have time for that shit. Plus, I'm probably going to butcher their names anyway. But again, if you live in America and you are of African American descent, there is a high probability that there is at least 1 or 2 Native American ancestors in your family. So when your family has told you we have Indian in us, it's probably not a misnomer. It's probably just that you may have 1 or 2 versus the natives who are actually grown and raised on the reservation, or natives who are native by blood who just don't live on the reservation for whatever odd psycho-ass reason that may be. And not that all reservations are pieces of junk, but not all reservations are happy-go-lucky springtime joy places to live. Hopefully I cleared that up. And if you are Native American and I have offended you, I do apologize for how I said that, but not what I said. Alright, now, you got these guys on here. I'm sick of this shit. I am so sick of this shit. I'm part Native. I'm never going to be a full-blooded Native. I'm 50 fucking years old. I have been told by natives plenty of times that I'm not a pure-blooded Native. I can accept that because it's the fucking truth. Granted, my grandmother on my father's side and my great-grandmother on my father's side never prepared me for the words, "You're not a pure-blooded Native." Never, ever brought that shit up. The only thing I got from my grandmothers were folklore. Alright? Why were they not on the reservation? I have no fucking idea. Did I ask them? No. My father's father is black. We basically were raised black. Period. On my mother's side, the clusterfuck of genetics is that. My mother's father was white and white passing, but he also was part black. He had a black relative or black ancestor somewhere, but he looked like a white man with a tan. Period. My mom is still white presenting and has to prove to people that she's black. But if you put her in a room full of white people, you would never know she was black. Even my white friends said that my mom is whiter than their mom. Alright? My mom's mom is black and native. That's it. But she was adopted. So we have no fucking idea where to even fucking begin with that shit. So there's that. The woman that raised her was black because I grew up with that old woman and we had to use outhouses in Nelson County to use the bathroom because they didn't have bathrooms in her house until like she almost died. By the time she almost died, she had a house with the actual bathroom, but they still had an outhouse. Anyway, getting that family history out of the way. Not all natives lived in fucking teepees. Let's establish that. A lot of natives did migrate up and around in the east and the west, but most of the natives also had things like longhouses, wigwams, and shit like that. These pretendians don't even know what the fuck a canoe is. They don't have any bow and arrows on their shit. They don't talk about folklore. They have nothing native about them other than they fucking dance around in fucking feathers. You know, make fun of boarding schools and shit like that. But yet, they're trying to erase the Atlantic slave trade. They're trying to erase Native American culture at the highest level. And then you got some who have gone way off their fucking rocker, talking about some, we were giants, we were gods, we had dragons, we had dinosaurs, we rode woolly mammoths, we had telekinetic powers, we had telepathic powers, and there's a Stargate, and Egypt is in America, and you gotta know the dirt, and corn, and you need to talk like this, and you need to say these things, and we had this game, we had a 200-pound ball, we had to shoot through a hole, because we were giants, and you fuckers are insane. I'm sorry for swearing, but I don't take back what I said. You fuckers are insane. At some point, at some time, reality has to slap people in the face. Alright? Here's your calling card. 1. All tribes are different. From the top of the East Coast into the First Nations in Canada to the bottom of America, all the way from Brazil down to Chile. All tribes are different. All of them. Folklore is changed by tribes. You know, what the Aboriginals know, the Ojibwa don't have the same shit. Alright? As far as I know, the Aboriginals don't even talk about Wendigo or Skinwalkers, God forgive me for that, or any other folklore. They just dance around in feathers and tell us that Native Americans are Siberian Huskies. This is what they do. I do apologize for the Siberian Husky remark, but this is what they say when they get on there and they start talking shit. And again, they don't know what the fuck a tomahawk is. They don't know what a hatchet is. Yet, they talk about feathers. They talk about war bonnets that they have not earned. All kinds of other shit. You know, I'll be the first to say it. When I first got on this app, the Native Americans had the issue from the other way around, where there were white pretendians doing the exact same shit. Now, granted, the white pretendians didn't go as hard as the black pretendians are going right now. The Aboriginals, the ethnocentrics, the white pretendians didn't do this shit. They took their L and they walked away. But the black pretendians keep pushing. And then they start coming up with all these fucking dragon tales and all this superhero, supernatural space portals at the Grand Canyon and all this other fucking shit. It needs to stop. It needs to stop. They don't know shit about the Lakota, Dakota, and Lakota. They don't know nothing about none of them. They don't know about the Cheyenne. They don't know about the Kiowa. But, sure as fuck, someone knows about the Chickasaw, or someone knows about the Chickasaw, or someone knows about the Blackfoot, the Creek, the Cherokee, Iroquois. They don't talk much about Powhatan, which was like the tribe that Matoaka comes from. I'm probably going to stop because I'm giving out more information than they need to know. They talk about the Seminoles. They talk about the Choctaw, the Chickasaw, I'm missing somebody. But that's what they all refer to. And yes, Cherokee is still the go-to tribe. All right. So here's the thing: it's highly possible these motherfuckers may have native in them, but they're not full-blooded. I'm not full-blooded. But I at least acknowledge my black half and my white half. Well, these motherfuckers, no, we can put the African to the side. We're not black, but we're the original people. Okay? You may have some of the original people in you, but you're not the original people. There will be a part 2, but I will continue on YouTube while I'm posting. Anyway, let's see, we're gonna call this Sick of Pretendians. So that's video 1. Let me rephrase that. I'm sick of Pretendians. I'm getting sick of yes. Come on, Orange. Oh, really? Sorry, y'all. I'm trying to select all. Copy, damn it. Done. Facebook's in the way. Okay. Come on, machine. Sorry. This is not as likely as you can see it. Okay. While part 1 is posting, we're recording part 2. After part 3, you're just gonna have to go to YouTube. That way I don't have to keep this up. As I said in the first video, if you were part anything, if you were born in America and you are black, there was, without a doubt, there is some mixture there. You're not full African. The only way you can fully be African is if both your parents immigrated from Africa, met in America, and then they had you. Otherwise, most African Americans, like myself, are descended of black, white, and native. Some of our features show more than others. Lookership can be very dangerous. I've been on my reconnecting journey since I was 42. I am 50, and I'm just really starting the reconnecting journey. Thought I was like halfway through, not even close. All right? And the only reason why I started my reconnecting journey to begin with, after my hip replacement, my father passed, because we were going to go visit my great-grandmother's grave, which would be his grandmother, which was the full native ancestor, or at least the possibly full native ancestor from Charles City. That is a big Native American population here in Virginia, in Charles City. All right. Now, if you're living anywhere in Richmond, Virginia, you have the Rappahannock and the Tappahannock. I know that Virginia has at least 7 or 8 tribes. I just don't know how many are federally recognized. All right. Now, unfortunately, my father died before we can go to that trip. I have reached out to Charles City to make sure everything was clear for me to go, and then I went broke, helping people, giving them money that I should have been keeping for myself. But that's another story. So I'm not going to ask for a GoFundMe. Fuck that shit. I'll work. I always work. I don't beg people for money. That is not a fucking option. Get off your ass and work. The thing is that, again, if you are a black American, born and bred, and your parents were black before this app, There is no question in my mind you very well may have Native American ancestry. But you cannot deny your black side or your white side. I have three. I'm triracial. I know that we have black, I know that we have white, and I know that we have native. And no, I don't fucking like corn, and fuck yes, I'm still scared of horses, for anybody who wants to ask. Yes, I am fucking scared of horses. I don't want any bad native jokes about me being afraid of horses. I am scared of horses. Okay? I got bit by a fucking horse when I was a kid, because some asshole didn't teach me how to feed the horse right. I know who you are. Anyway, the bottom line is, to deny one part of you is to deny all of you. I don't deny my white half. I just don't fully embrace it because it's practically fucking useless to me with this brown skin. No one's gonna sit there and say, hey, there's a white man right there. They're not gonna do that. What they're gonna do is what's always happening to me since I was a child. What are you mixed with? Well, I'm part black. Yeah, what else are you mixed with? Oh, well, I'm also part native. I'm also part white. I am highly fucking mixed. Alright? I'm triracial. I'm like a fucking hyper hybrid. Plus, I know Kung Fu, so I send warnings, not invitations, and this is for educational purposes for the TikTok gods. The live that I just happened to be in the hallway in, I don't get it, man. I really don't get it. I don't understand why it's such a crime to have black ancestry. I don't deny the fact that probably all three of my ancestors were probably slaves. Alright? I'm sure that my white ancestor was probably an indentured servant. I'm pretty sure my black ancestor and my native ancestor were probably slaves. Without question. But it wasn't me. Okay? Wasn't me. For 50 years I have been mixed. For 50 more years, God willing, I'll still be mixed. When this app is gone, I'm going to be mixed. And let me explain this to all of you motherfuckers who might be mixed but don't know it, or who might be mixed and just decide, we're going to take the African the fuck out. Really? I'm high yellow. Now, my true skin color's up here. Alright? So yeah, I've been called a banana a couple of times, a zebra a couple of times, a half-breed a whole fucking lot. The worst thing that's ever been said to me as a racial joke was for 3 years when I worked at Kegler's, and some white cat who wouldn't stop playing Achy Breaky Heart and the Thunder Rose called me chief for 3 fucking years. Alright? I know I'm part native. I'm not the descendant of a chief. Alright? Both of my native ancestors, female. Alright? So, that's that. Alright? Without a doubt, both my native ancestors are females. One thing that my great-grandmother used to tell me was, you know, if our tribes would have not been so nice, maybe drilled some holes in the boat with the knives that they had, sank the gunpowder, America would be a different place. Alright? But that didn't happen. So here we are. Now we'll say this to you pretendians, ethnocentrics, aboriginals, whatever the fuck you are. If you have native ancestry, there's nothing wrong with that, but how you are going about it on this app is unacceptable. No one's saying that you're not part native. What we're saying is black people were not in America before 1492. But y'all don't want to swallow that pill. So you come up with all these Game of Thrones fantasies about how we had dragons and they breathed fire, how we had dinosaurs and how we could control them, and how we had telekinetics and telepathic powers, and there's a Stargate in the Grand Canyon and the Egypt's in America. And that you gotta know the dirt. Now, Egypt ain't got a goddamn thing to do with Native American culture. Not a goddamn thing. Not one goddamn solitary thing. But, you know, there's something wrong with y'all when y'all keep thinking that Egypt is in the Grand Canyon and it has something to do with Native Americans. It doesn't. Also, it's funny how the ethnocentrics and aboriginals don't know what the fuck a bow and arrow is. Don't know how to use it. Don't know what a hatchet is. Don't know what a tomahawk is. And don't know how the fuck they lost to two cultures, the Europeans, who were the colonizers, and the Native Americans, who only had tomahawks, bows, and arrows. And y'all had dragons and dinosaurs, and willy nillies, and telekinetics and telepathics, and you were giants, and you fucking got your asses handed to you. So, you know, you don't deserve to be called native if you can't fight worth a shit. I'm sorry if that sounds a little violent, but it's the fucking truth. You got all the advantages, and usually superior firepower is usually how history is written. All right. And then you talk bad about Native Americans. You talk bad about the boarding schools. And this app, unfortunately, has prevented us from knowing the body count of the children in the boarding schools that never made it home. All right? They're still searching, by the way. The Navajo Nation is still fighting for their rights. And nobody in America gives a fuck. But we're all about Ukraine and Palestine. What about the Navajo Nation? But the code talkers from the Navajo Nation who helped turn the tide in World War II. Nobody gives a fuck that they're not getting water? I'm sorry if I've offended anybody with that, but yo, until natives get justice, I really can't go too deep into Palestine and Israel. Right now, my only concern is Native American shit. That's it. So please don't take that the wrong way. And every native knows what I'm talking about. Water protectors, land rights, all these things that are not being addressed, and this app has been silencing them for the last 6 months. In case you guys aren't up to speed, we're in the 6.5 month or the 7th month that the Navajo has still been fighting for the fucking water rights in Arizona. But nobody's bringing that shit up. But every now and again, a free Palestine video pops up, or something about the Ukraine. What about the tribal shit that's happening right here, right now? What about that shit? Because that's the shit that's important to me. All right? You ethnocentrics and pretendians, y'all don't give a fuck about that shit. But you want to grab some motherfucking land, though. Again, educational purposes. There will be a part 3. But I'm kind of upset. I'm also a vet. And there's some natives that are vets that are also suffering that no one tends to give a shit about. I follow one, and she's been in a lot of legal trouble, and nobody's been helping her ass out. So, yeah, you know, when the native stuff is handled, then I will worry about stuff in Israel and freaking damn Ukraine. No offense to everybody fighting. I hope you survive. I hope you live well. But this shit here, Navajo, water rights, MMIW, where's that? No one's caring? You know, these are kind of more important to me. We will pause and post. No. And the thing is, you know, like I said, I try not to address politics and shit in in fucking in fucking these damn apps like TikTok. I mean, I can bring that shit here because it's safer on YouTube. But you know, TikTok tends to be a little bit offbeat. Why are you not working? Really, machine? Come on, give me the option. While I'm waiting for this thing to go, and there it is. Okay, this is part 3. This will be the final for TikTok, and then I'm just gonna go on YouTube, and this shit will be posted by the end of the day. The fact that the Pretendians have enough imagination to write some shit for Sci-Fi Channel to bring Sci-Fi Channel back up to the top is fucking outstanding. Some unacceptable shit, but it's fucking outstanding. I want to make this point before I completely take the rest of this to YouTube, which you can find in like maybe 2 hours. It is greatly disturbing that we as people have let people's education slide this far down the slope where, you know, Americans. Native Americans were not the first Americans. Black people were the first Americans. Yet, they have no evidence of their language. They have no evidence of being here before 1492. Lots of black people who have also come at the ethnocentrics about this shit, or the aboriginals, have challenged it. But there's no evidence. And the ethnocentrics or the aboriginals can't prove it. But yet they continue to torment Native Americans on this app with this bullshit. They also continue to torment black people on this app with this bullshit. Alright, look. Again, let me be clear to you ethnocentrics, you pretendians. Without a shadow of a doubt, there's a high probability that if you were born in this country and you were black, there's a high probability that you are mixed. You could be generationally mixed like me, where you have 2 black ancestors, 2 native ancestors, and 1 white ancestor. I have a white, black, and native ancestor on my mom's side. I have a native and a black ancestor on my father's side. See what happened there? I still have native and I still have black on both sides. Tribes to be identified at a better time. But I also know that I have white. I do not deny that shit. The white part's not useful. No offense. But it's not. You can look clear in my face and see that I am not a white man. Alright? Never gonna be a white man. As far as mixed people go, I can walk into a crowd with natives and blacks, and you will barely be able to tell the difference depending on where the crowd is. If I'm in a crowd full of black people, I might stand out like a sore thumb skin tone wise. Alright? Maybe facially. Maybe the hair. But no one's gonna fucking notice me unless they all stop, look at me, and point me out. And then the camera pans right in on me like some Home Alone shit. Other than that, there have been places that I will go into on YouTube about that shit, because this is a 10-minute video for TikTok, so it's not gonna, I don't need to take up that much space. Alright? I can't go in any place full of white people and not stand out. I can go in a place with natives. I'm still gonna stand out because I'm not a full-blooded native. Someone's going to point that shit out. As it has happened to me before in my 20s, where 2 Native Americans, I do not know what tribe they were, but they played wheelchair basketball, came up to me and they did not like me because I wanted to date their niece. And they literally came up to me one by one and told me that you're not a pure-blooded native and we don't want you tainting our family line. So don't talk to our niece. Again, I did not handle that well, as I posthumously told one that I would roll him as fast as I could into that oak tree. And the other one I told I would roll him directly into oncoming traffic. They were wheelchair bound, so it wouldn't have been honorable for me to beat the life out of them because they couldn't stand up and fight back. Having that work the other way around, it would be pretty bad to have my ass kicked by a guy who couldn't stand up and fight back but beat me in a wheelchair. And wheelchair people are strong. Do not underestimate the strength of a person in a wheelchair. They will fuck your shit up. But on that day, I think all 3 of us had a misunderstanding as we walked on the warpath. Alright? I was pissed off because they pointed out the fact that I wasn't a pure-blooded native. You telling me something I've known for 23 years, because I was 23 when this happened. You don't have to remind me that I'm not a full-blooded native. That's not a fucking big secret to me. But you also don't have to rub that shit in my face, which is kind of what they did. Which is kind of why I said what I said. You know, and I probably didn't handle that very well. I'm not sorry. I'm sorry for telling y'all what I did. But I didn't bring any harm to them. I just wanted to bring harm to them. That was the only reason why I didn't, is because they couldn't stand up and fight back. A story for another time. Or when you're done on TikTok in about 2 hours, you can go watch YouTube to see what you missed. There are going to be places where I am not going to fucking fit in. Alright? There are going to be people, regardless of their race, that are going to treat me unkindly because I am mixed. How do I know this? Because I'm 50 fucking years old. And before TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and all this shit was a thing, there was people like me. Alright? Mixed motherfuckers have built the foundation for you motherfuckers to not be treated like shit. As a child of a mixed person, or two mixed people, I know that my parents tried their best to shelter me from some of this shit. Because, you know, when you're mixed, you don't see your parents as the color of their skin. You see them as your parents. However, the world doesn't see it that way at all. And you have to adapt. As a mixed person, you are constantly adapting. It is not a every week thing. It is an every hour, everywhere you go thing. Now, to stick on topic, to you pretendians, ethnocentrics, and everybody in fucking between. No, not all Native Americans lived in fucking teepees. Alright? No, not all Native Americans use canoes. But most of them use canoes for local travel. Understand that shit. Up and down the James River, a canoe. We didn't have steam engines and shit. Alright? And as far as people talking about ports and shit, well, a canoe is kind of built to run up on the rocks. So, you didn't do damage. And canoes were made from the finest of fucking trees. Alright? So there's that. And there's a trick to making canoes out of wood to make sure that it doesn't take on water and sink. And I can't tell you what it is because I can't remember what it was, but it was taught to us. No, a metal canoe now, it's built to run up on rocks. Me and my cousin and a friend, we know way too much about that, don't we? Anyway, shout out to R Dog and B Dog for that time we went canoeing in the Rivanna and rock. We hit a couple of rocks because the water levels shank out. You pretendians, I want to know your folklore. I want to know your creation stories. I want to know if you know about not whistling at night. That's more of a West Coast native thing. I'm sure you're probably going to steal that now. I want to know what you guys know about Wendigo. I want to know what you guys know about Thunderbird. I want to know what you know about Deer Woman. I want to know what you know about Coyote. I want to know what you know about those little pudge troll thingies. I can't remember the native name of them. I'm sorry to every native that knows that. I'm sorry. I know what they are. I can't pronounce them, and I can't remember what the fuck they're called. But I have been told about them. So there's that. And do not go to nativefolklore.com because then they're going to learn a whole lot more shit. Sorry. I probably shouldn't have had that in the video. Too late now. But y'all don't talk about folklore. You dance around in feathers. And your dances aren't even correct. No. Y'all probably watch powwows and emulate that shit, but your dances are still not correct. There's a technique to it. Alright? Y'all don't care about anything other than your feathers and land grants or land grabs or whatever the fuck it is. You don't give a fuck about the earth. You don't give a fuck about your fellow man. And that's a shame. But again, I want to finish this. There is a high probability that everyone who is in this Aboriginal and ethnocentric group, if you were born in America to black parents who are descendants of slaves, you're going to find mixture. You're going to find a mulatto or a native or a black or a white person in your line. And sometimes mulattoes were part native. So there's that. I'm done talking for TikTok because I've given you 3. I'm going to continue on YouTube, so give me like about 2 hours max because I don't know how far I'm going to go with this shit. As we post. The thing is, a lot of the Pretendians probably have native descent. They probably do. But the thing is, they don't want to fucking be black. They don't want any ties to Africa. They don't want... Come on, damn it. Fuck. I hate technology, yo. I honestly do. I gotta erase some shit. Sorry, y'all. Part 3. Down. Final. Part. Oh, come on, damn it. Orange. Select. Copy. Go. Alright, come on. Motherfucker. I'm sorry, y'all. I hate technology. I honestly, truly, the guy, hate technology. Only because I don't know how to use it correctly. So, there's that. And part 1 is posted on TikTok. Part 2 and part 3 are work in progress. Alright, so if you're at this point so far, and if you come from TikTok to Instagram, this is the video. Damn it. Not Instagram. From TikTok to YouTube, this is the video you're looking for. Alright, so we're going to lay my cell phone off to the side here so I can stop having distractions and I can stare at Danielle Moonstar. Danielle Moonstar, who's a Cheyenne native, as I continue. Again, like I said, man, if you are part native, there's nothing wrong with also being part black and part white. I've been living this life for 50 years. I have been mixed for 50 years. And there is no excuse for you to take the African out. There's no excuse for you to take the black part out or the white part out. There's just no fucking excuse for it. However, the Pretendians are doing that. Now, earlier in video 2, I mentioned how I was told I was unpure, and I was told that by some natives because I wanted to date their niece, and they won't fucking having it. No, they won't having that shit at all. They were totally against, that being a thing. And I get it, but at the same time, I was 23 years old. You can talk to me like I'm a fucking human being. You don't have to talk to me like I'm a piece of crap and that I'm a fucking target. And I felt like they targeted me because their niece liked me and we were getting along very well, and I hope she's doing fine. I hope she found someone who's treating her like a goddess. But, could have been great. Except for they were kind of racist because I wasn't a pure native. And they didn't want me tainting their family. Now, the family I was raised in has black ancestry, as well as native, as well as white. We didn't have no problem with anybody. And my parents have always said, if you choose to date a woman who's not black, we will support that shit. We're not going to be mad and say, oh, you should date a black girl. Now, I will say I have met some resistance with some family members, and the first thing they are always out there hollering, why don't you date a black girl? Why don't you date a black girl? The story behind that is really quite simple. When I was in grade school and middle school, all I tried to do was date black chicks. In turn, all I got from black chicks was the finger. So I had choices. I could wait for the right black chick to come along, or I can move forward with the girls who actually was giving me attention, which were white chicks, Mexican chicks, and Asian girls. So I went with white chicks because I didn't speak Spanish, so I figured the Mexican girls wouldn't give me a chance. I didn't really speak any Asian languages, even though I was studying Kung Fu and other martial arts. But only certain martial arts, like Taekwondo, our instructor would speak to us with certain Korean words. I don't remember the motherfuckers, so it's not relevant. What is relevant is that you cannot deny your heritage. You also can't walk away from the truth, because eventually the truth will always come out. It will always find a way to bite you in the ass. You can hide it from others, but you can't hide it from yourself. And if people dig far enough, they will find some shit that you don't want them to find. Which is also why I say don't go out and do dumb shit. No. And if you live in the Marvel universe, remember, Baskin Robbins, they always find out. That was from Ant-Man, the first one. Baskin Robbins, they always find out. They do their job thoroughly. Anyway, the thing is, man, I don't know how to approach these ethnocentrics, these pretendians. Sorry, I'm trying to get the lighting right because it's blinding me. But there's a shine on my forehead or my five head. In any case, you know, the point being made is that these guys are ruining reconnecting natives, reconnecting German. All right, they're totally ruining it. All right, and like I said, in video 1, 2, and 3, if you've watched this far, then you know I've said this. Without a shadow of a doubt, these ethnocentrics, these aboriginals, very well may have native DNA. They may have a native ancestor. They definitely will have a white ancestor somewhere in there. Because a lot of things that I can say on this app that I can't say on TikTok or Instagram is that a lot of rapes and sexual assaults were happening in slavery time. And yes, Native Americans also had slaves. It's one of those untalked about issues, but it did happen. Alright? And when they say that, it's generally pointed toward the 5 civilized tribes. Alright? Now, when I was growing up, we were never taught that shit. Alright? We were never taught that Cherokee and Powhatan and all kinds of other natives had slaves. We were taught about the Trail of Tears, you know, and later we were taught about the Red Road, which is basically like alcohol. I just learned about Starlight Tours this year, well, technically last year or the year before last. So I put that shit in Sundown somewhere. I don't remember where. I'll find out today when I go through chapter 3. But you know, there have been a lot of atrocities done to blacks and natives. And to be fair, blacks and natives have stood together during the civil rights movement, and whites have also stood beside them. So I can't discredit my white family. I can't discredit my black family, and I can't discredit my native family, because all of those racial identities dwell within me. But also, they obviously weren't of racist people to make me. Alright? Both my parents are mixed. Alright? At least one grandparent on one side or the other was mixed. I am multiracial. I am triracial. I've pointed that out at the beginning of this video, so we're going to do it again. My mom is mixed. Her father was mixed. Her mother, possibly mixed, but since she was adopted, we don't really fucking know. We do know that she's part black and part native. That much we got. We just don't know where about she began. Alright? On my dad's side, my dad's dad, black. I got to meet him before he died. My dad, raised black. They knew they were native. They just didn't do a lot of talking about native shit. They didn't raise native up in our family. They just adapted and raised themselves as black. Alright? My grandmother, their mother, that's where we have the clusterfuck of if she's all native or if she's mixed. Because I don't know. But she was as light as me. Alright? All native features, all native hair, all that shit. Alright? Now, her mother, every one of my aunts and uncles was like, oh yeah, she's native. And every time they got in trouble, she generally was the one that caught them. And my Uncle Bruce was famous for saying, damn it, I gotta hide, the damn Indian woman is coming. So, there's that. So yeah, and he always called her the old Indian woman. As far as growing up, we didn't do native shit. My great grandmother, the old Indian woman that my Uncle Bruce always talked about, I known her until 1983. So, in 83 I was 10, she passed away. She lost both of her legs to gangrene. Her daughter would later lose both of her legs to gangrene and diabetes. So, in the times that I got to see them, which was only in the summertime, I got a fuck ton of folklore. I got stories about her and her brothers running through the woods in the moccasins. That's it. That's it. So folklore and stories about moccasins. That's it. Mom's side, nothing. Nothing. We know it's there. We don't know how to track it. So there's that. And my grandmother on my mom's side is still alive. Now my grandmother on my father's side, both of those old ladies lived a long fucking time. A long fucking time. So apparently longevity might be something in my family. Alright? It might be something in my family. I mean, I'm 50. So there's that. But you have to sit here and you have to fight against people who very well may be native but don't want to be black. They don't want any African. They don't want anything other than native because they want to grab land. Yet they don't give a fuck about the land. Alright? They also don't know how this shit works. Because I will state it doesn't matter if you're black, white, or native. If you have land, there's this thing called taxes. You're going to pay those taxes. Or they're going to take that shit from you. But these ethnocentrics, these pretendians, these aboriginals, they think they're going to get the land and keep that shit for free. They think they're going to be able to have that shit and hold that shit and keep that shit for free. No. If you don't pay your taxes, that land's going to go back to the government in which it came. Land grant, land grab, whatever the fuck they're calling it. If you don't pay your taxes, that shit's going to go back. It's the same reason why you have personal property tax, especially here in Virginia. If I don't pay my personal property taxes, they're going to try to take my car. Even though the car is fucking paid for, I still have to pay taxes on that sumbitch. To be able to drive that bitch on the streets, I have to pay insurance. But to be able to keep it for however long I am alive, I still have to pay taxes on that shit. So if I move to a place where I don't have to pay personal property tax, that's a little bit of a different touch. Alright? But I'm in Virginia. We pay our taxes. Period. Personal property tax, car tax, whatever is taxed, you pay that fucking shit. Whether you want to or not, it's a whole other ballgame. But if you want to keep your ancestral or historical land or whatever the fuck you call it, ancestral land, you're going to pay taxes on that shit. We have land in Nelson County. Guess what? We pay taxes on that shit. We have our permanent burial site on that. We still got to pay taxes on that shit. Understand, we still have to pay taxes on that shit. Otherwise, they'll take the land, dig up the bodies, and do God only knows what with it. But we have to pay taxes on that shit. Until our family is dead, we have to pay taxes on that shit. Until every last member of the family is done, we got to pay taxes on that shit. Okay? There's no ifs, ands, and buts about it. We got to pay taxes on that shit. So if you're in Virginia and you're one of those aboriginals or pretendians or whatever, and you think you're just going to get land and not pay taxes on it, that ain't how it works here in Virginia. You are going to fucking pay taxes on that shit. Whether you fucking like it or not. If you are white, you are going to pay taxes on that shit. Can't say if it's going to be higher or lower than the taxes blacks and natives are going to pay, but you're still going to pay taxes. If you are black, you are going to pay taxes. If you are native, you are going to pay taxes. If you are Asian, of any Asian diaspora, and you're buying land in Virginia, you are going to fucking pay taxes. If you are any race, ethnicity, culture, whatever, in Virginia, if you acquire, buy land, you're going to pay taxes. If you have a house on there, your property tax might go up, it might go down. There's no guarantee what is what, but you are guaranteed one thing for fucking sure. You are going to pay taxes. Now, as I bring this video to an end because it's been 49 minutes and some change, we're going to get back on the main thing on why I'm making this video. I'm tired. I am sick and fucking tired of the Pretendians on TikTok. I'm sick and tired of having to explain to them not all natives lived in teepees. I'm sick and tired of having to explain to them that indigenous and black erasure is wrong and that y'all shouldn't fucking be doing it. But they are doing it. No, they are doing it. And it's pissing me off to no end. And it's completely unacceptable. It is completely fucking unacceptable. I'm not going to discredit the fact that you may have Native American blood in you. I don't have the right to tell you that you don't have Native American blood in you. But we can clearly state that you do have black blood in you as well. Now, you may have some white blood in you, you may have some Native American blood in you, but you damn sure got some black blood in you. And why do you choose to deny it is beyond me. I'm 50 years old. You know how hard I tried to fight for my blackness as a child? I fought a lot for my blackness as a child. I was bullied a lot for being mixed. I'll be damned, and I state this with my full chest, I'll be damned if you're going to erase or delete or erase or whatever the fuck I was trying to say my great-grandmother on my mother's side and my father's side for their existence. I'm not going to let you do that shit. You don't know what the fuck a bow and arrow is. You don't know what a hatchet is. You don't know what a tomahawk is. Yet, you claim to be the first Americans. Yet, y'all don't know shit about Native American folklore. You don't know shit about Bigfoot, the hairy man, Sasquatch. There's 1,000 other names that you can give him, but you don't know about that. You don't know how some of them were on Native American sides and some of them were the enemy. You don't know about that shit. But yet you were the first people. But you don't have folklore. None of you Pretendians have folklore. I don't put folklore up here because of you fucking Pretendians. I let full-bloods handle the folklore. Because again, folklore is based in some truths. You don't have to believe it, but just because you don't see it doesn't mean it didn't happen. But yet you Pretendians, right off the bat, dancing around in these feathers, talking about the training schools, talking about the babies that weren't babies and how Native Americans were trained to be Native Americans, but they aren't the original people. You talk about gotta know in the dirt. You talk about having a goddamn Stargate. And somehow or another, you believe that Egypt is in America, but Egypt has nothing to do with Native American shit. But y'all can't get past Egypt. Y'all love talking about Egypt, but Egypt has nothing to do with Native American shit. Then you talk about the mounds versus the pyramids and how there's more mounds than pyramids. Personally, I don't give two fucks about none of that shit. What I give a fuck about is the fact that you guys are trying to erase my cultures. My black culture and my native culture. You can't really erase my white culture because I know that I have white in me. I just don't know what race of white culture it is. Alright? Don't give a fuck. Because I'm never going to be a white person. I love white people. I have white people in my family. But I'm never going to be white. I can accept that. And for the most part, they're probably glad that I can accept that. And that I'm not going around using my white privilege that I don't have just out of lookership against them. I have had mad battles against racist black people, racist white people, and 2 racist Native Americans. You're not a pure native. Don't touch our niece. You're not a pure native. Stay away from my brother's daughter. In return, for the first guy was, you're right. I'm not a pure native. Can you stand up? No. I'm paralyzed from the waist down. Ah, that's too bad. But knowing that, you think you can jump out that tree before you hit that fucking oak tree? Or you think that you're not going to be able to get out of that wheelchair, I meant to say wheelchair, before you collide in that shit? Because me standing up and fighting you, there's no honor because you can't stand up and defend yourself. So, me fighting you would be dishonorable. There's a green thread that is getting on my nerve. Y'all see that? Sorry, it was in my Black Panther blanket. Anyway, he said no. And I wanted to run him into that fucking oak tree so fucking bad. There's a garage there now, by the way, at the Jefferson School in Charlottesville, Virginia. And then the other brother rode right up on me after the youngest brother went away, and he came up at me with the same bullshit. And I asked him the same bullshit. Can you stand up? And he said no. I said, then I guess you can't get out of that wheelchair before I roll your ass in the oncoming traffic. There was some cussing involved, so I watered that shit down. And he said no. Then I have a friend who's a full-blooded Mohawk. Shout out to that Courtney also. He set the motherfuckers in their place. But to keep the drama down, I wasn't allowed to eat at the Native American table. Right? Which is where all the full-blooded natives were sitting. So no one is above racist. As a kid growing up, I had more black people tell me that I wasn't black because I was mixed than anybody on earth. So don't ever tell me black people can't be racist. I lived the shit. I'm 50 fucking years old. Everybody can fucking be racist. The sad part is that I've had more bad racist experiences from black people than white people and the native people. And then from Asian people. Which is kind of fucked up. But it is what it is. I accepted it. It does not make me hate black people or white people or natives. Those racist motherfuckers, I hate them. But I don't hate all the people who look like them. Because that one little group of people did and said racist shit to me. It's not fair to blame a whole other race of people because some asshole in that race decided that I wasn't good enough. Right? Yeah, I've had 2 bad Native American experiences. I've had maybe 5 to 7, 10 at best, racist white experiences. And if you count all of my fingers and toes, that's how many racist experiences I've had from black people. And most of it was because I'm mixed. So before TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook, I've been through some shit. So I'm not going to dare tell you that you're not native, but I'm also going to tell you that you can't deny your black side either. I get it. You don't want to be black. Hell, for the bulk of my life, I tried to be black. I literally tried to be black. And black people just wasn't having it. Especially black girls. So, when I accepted who I was as being a mixed person, life got a fucking lot easier until I got the job at Kegler's, where the white guy wouldn't stop calling me Chief. Hey, you're some kind of Indian, ain't ya? You got some Indian in you, don't ya? Yeah. Alrighty then. And then the next day, hey Chief, what's up Chief? How's it going Chief? And you can see my 16-year-old ass face goes from, okay buddy, my name tag's right there. James, could you call me by my name, please? Okay, Chief. Right on, Chief. Okay, Chief. What's up, Chief? 3 years of this man calling me Chief. 3 motherfucking years of that shit. What did the black people call me? Hey, half-breed. Wheat bread. Wonder bread. They never called me a white boy. But they might as well have called me a white boy when they called me Wonder Bread. But when it was Wonder Bread, it was, you know, you're Wonder Bread, but you get to be whole wheat or lightly toasted. See, some of these jokes, they're really fucked up, but you'll get them when you think about it. Well, he's not exactly white, but he's not exactly black. He's a zebra. Yeah. See, before all this social media shit began, people like me, we were going through it. Like, literally going through it. So again, as I bring this to a close, I'm not going to say that the Pretendians, or the ethnocentrics, or the aboriginals may not have native DNA. It's highly impossible. If you were born to black ancestry in America, you will have a white family member or a native family member in your bloodline. Without a fucking question. It's almost impossible for you to not have one. It's almost impossible. Now, if you're a res native, you probably have 1% because life began in Africa. But that's it, if you go with the out of Africa theory. But 9 times out of 10, your African DNA is shorter than my African DNA. I'm biracial by triracialness. That probably didn't make sense, so we'll break that down. My mom and my dad are both biracial. Let me fucking rephrase that. Technically, my mom is triracial because she has a native parent and a black parent, and she has a white and a black parent. And I say that because we're not gonna give my grandmother full native on my mom's side, just to be on the safe side. We're gonna say she's mixed. Her father, for sure, was mixed. We know he was mixed. He had a black ancestor, but he was very much a white man passing. Or he was a black person who looked white. He didn't have a black feature to his body. You know. And my grandmother, on the other hand, she's high yellow like me. She's mixed. Or she's native. We're not sure, but we know that she has native in her. We're not sure if she's full or if she's mixed. So we're just going to say she's mixed. Alright? My mom is white passing. Well, white presenting. She's fought to be black all her life. But she's this color. Like, literally, she's this color. My dad is this color. My dad's dad was black. All the way black. My dad's mom, either mixed native or all native. She too was this color. Her mom was way lighter, but she was full-blooded native, and she was from Charles City. So we got some things we need to go through at Charles City, which is part of the journey that I'm going to be taking when I start getting my money straight and my reconnecting journey continues. Now, to you ethnocentrics, you Pretendians, you Aboriginals, you very well may have native DNA. But what you don't have, and I'm going to say this, and I'm going to end this video right here because we've been going for an hour. What you don't have is the right to rewrite history. You do not have the right to erase my native grandmother from either side of my family. You do not have the right to erase my mixed grandfather on my mom's side and my black grandfather on my father's side. You don't have the right to do that. You aren't that powerful. You also suck at fighting. Because if you were giants and you had dragons and dinosaurs and dragons we know breathe fire. I know y'all have seen Game of Thrones more than once. How the fuck did you lose and allow slavery? If y'all lived in houses and natives lived in teepees, how did y'all lose? How did you lose to people who had stone-tipped arrows, stone-tipped spears, stone-tipped tomahawks, and y'all had dragons? You're gonna tell me a rock beat a dragon? I'm not gonna say it's impossible because the first murder weapon that ever existed was a rock, if you go by the Bible. Because Cain beat up Abel with a rock. And rocks are always ready and available. Always. Even gravel. So how do you lose to people with weaker firepower? Because y'all stated y'all were giants, telekinetics, telepathics, gods, dinosaurs, dragons, woolly mammoths, stargates. That's like 8 advantages over Native Americans who had tomahawks, bows and arrows, and spears. And then you had to deal with Europeans who stole gunpowder and noodles, thanks to Marco Polo, from China. How'd y'all lose? How did you lose with dragons? I want y'all to understand, how the fuck did you lose with dragons? And in closing, again, before this app, there was me, Generation Xer, a mixed kid, being called a zebra, being called a half-breed, being called Juan Julio, Carlos, Tonto. Y'all didn't exist. And your parents are probably my age. They probably don't look as good as me, but they're probably my age. And without a doubt, they may have some Native American ancestry, but they also have black ancestry. And you should probably accept who you are. I accept being black. My birth certificate says Negro, but I know I'm mixed because back in the 70s, it wasn't until like the 80s and 90s, not even the 80s actually, about the late 90s, early 2000s where they started putting biracial on birth certificates. So you can find a biracial birth certificate these days. But back when I was born, that shit wasn't a thing. That wasn't a thing. But now it is a thing. Anyway, thank you for watching. My name is Echo Fred Grey Wolf. Accept who you are. Be seeing you.